Hey, sir, we have a very trendy music for you to walk onto.
Yeah.
You want to listen to it? No need.
I'm writing my speech.
Yeah.
Just play.
It's called APT. Whatever. I'm writing about something about MRT. Don't disturb me. And then end up it's after, right?
Then he's like,
Interested in getting a Folklory as a gift for your loved ones? Here's a special deal for you this holiday season. From now till Friday, 6th December, order a Folklory and get a custom Bluetooth speaker free of charge. It's styled as a cassette mixtape, perfect for gifting as it allows you to listen to the recording the moment you receive it. So last Christmas, these cassettes were super popular and sold out. So make sure to order yours early to avoid disappointment and so that you can book your recording slot as soon as possible. And if you do it before 6th December, we guarantee that your cassette and recording will reach you in time for your Christmas gifting. You can find all the info you need at folklory.com, along with examples and reviews from previous customers. The link is in the show notes, so please check it out, because we'd love to help you create a Christmas gift that will blow your loved ones away. And now, on to the podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Terrence?
Good old humor.
Good old humor, man.
Yeah.
How was your weekend, man?
Good, man. The weather was amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I even did a first in a long time. I ran in the rain.
Oh.
Which is like, wow.
That's like the best thing ever, man.
Yeah. And it's that kind of like rain that,
Pitter-patter.
yeah, it doesn't like, it's not in your eyes and all that, right? But it just cools you down.
It's damn shock,
and you
right?
feel like you're doing something like, you're beating the system, right? Everyone else is lazing at home. You're like running out there.
And then got the melancholic vibes.
Melancholic, yeah. I look at my other fellow colleagues running and felt melancholic about it. Yeah.
Melancholic about it.
Correct.
But
nice, very nice.
Apparently, in the northeastern parts of Singapore, it was the highest rainfall since 1978.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's why I think there was some floods happening there.
Flash floods.
It's so ridiculous. Now flash floods, ponding, whatever you call it, is now a thing in Singapore.
Yeah.
Right.
Climate change is real.
Climate change, man.
Yeah.
But I mean, the weather it really does feel like it's snowing, you know?
Yeah. I don't know how many times I remarked to my wife that, if only weather like this in Singapore is like this all year round, it'll be the perfect place to live.
After all, she asked you to shut up, is it?
Huh? I think so. I think quite irritating after a while.
Yeah.
Then within like 20 minutes, it's hot again sometimes, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, even today, like, it just feels like, overseas when you see the, gentle snow, if it wasn't that cold, that's the kind of rain we have now. Like what you said, the drops are very small.
Yeah.
It's just like a mist. It's so nice.
Correct, yeah. How about you?
Nice,
like, did it put a crimp in any of your plans or what?
No. We still went out with our kid. Did we go for a walk? Not so much walks, but we were out and about. And even if we are out, I think we managed to avoid the rain. So never got caught in the rain.
You haven't forcefully exposed her to the rain yet?
Only accidentally.
Accidentally. You haven't done the whole like letting her touch grass and that kind of thing?
Actually, what's the thing with that? What age do you... I thought they have an aversion to grass.
Yeah, it's quite funny. Like the first time they touch grass, they have like this strange aversion to it.
The legs all just come up.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't done that.
Yeah, you gotta do that. And
actually,
about it. It's quite funny.
That would be fun. But yeah, like, I mean, she's kena some rain, but more like, oh shit, if we're walking and it rained.
Yeah.
But good weekend overall. Went by like that. But can feel like it feels like Singapore is generally emptier. Do you feel that?
Maybe because everyone was at Expo for the PAP 70 event. Right? The Singapore Expo. That's how many people they had.
With the carders.
Yeah, so maybe that's why everything felt emptier.
That's true. I mean, it was great because wherever we were, like train, malls, cafe, all felt a bit emptier. Maybe people also in a less of a rush. I don't know.
Possibly.
This time of year.
Traveling, yeah.
More chill.
Yeah. Hypothetically, if you knew that everyone who loves PAP is going to be like at a Singapore Expo, where would you go to enjoy the peace and quiet the most?
Where would I go to enjoy the peace and quiet? I mean, I know Ride Out will be empty.
There'll be, but I mean, not like you can go and enjoy the peace and quiet there, right?
True. And generally, I would imagine it would be quite peaceful and quiet.
Peaceful and quiet, yeah.
Where? But like the whole Parliament area, the Victoria Concert Hall and shit like that. Off the top of my head, are you?
Correct. Probably near the Istana area, probably more empty. a lot more resources.
But wasn't the King
security.
of Sweden in Singapore recently?
That was, I think, Friday or
Friday.
Thursday or Friday, yeah.
Because at one point, we were driving down the road in front of the Istana, and traffic was held up for like 10 minutes. And then when we finally went past, we saw the gates of the Istana open. So I don't know whether there was a convoy that came out or something.
Oh yeah, and the president actually is not part of a political party, so he wouldn't be at
if you go Istana, he'll be like...
He'll be the party, where the party is at, right? As in the real party.
Probably he can't go for that.
He can't, he can't. I don't think he can.
He can't. Then Taman is just like, oh shit, hey, Vivian, how's it going, Vivian?
Left out.
Yeah, Shan, hey, keep me posted,
Keep me posted. Where's the after party?
That is true, man. But I mean, we will be covering that. But before we jump into what went down, what's our spiel, Terence?
If you like what you're listening to, please like, share, follow, subscribe to Yalabat Podcast, because this is where the fun's at, and we're going to be doing a lot of interesting things in the next few weeks. So make sure you follow to not miss out any of this.
Including our live show on 12th December, which is now sold out. But lots of exciting stuff coming in 2025.
Yeah.
So if you want to keep track, you can also check us out at ministryoffunny.com, or if you want to work with us, drop us a message there or email us at contact@ministryoffunny.com.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right, cool.
Sweet.
So, actually, I had no idea that this PAP Conference 2024 was happening.
Oh, yeah?
It feels like just a short while ago that we were talking about what went down at the conference 2023.
Yeah.
But essentially, if I understand correctly, it was a 2-day event at the Singapore Expo where there were, conference just for the cadres, then just for the volunteers and activists.
Yeah.
Then there was thank you video to Lee Hsien Loong, who's the current Secretary General, or who has just stepped down from being Secretary General.
Yeah.
And then there was a speech he gave, and then there was a speech by Lawrence Wong. What else did you understand about what went down?
I mean, I saw some of the videos that people were posting. Even PAP itself was posting online. Interestingly, I was looking up for is there any hint of new faces that are going to be fielded at the elections? So I didn't see any except one interesting face that stuck out during the PAP promo video. And that was of a local content creator, Jian Hao of Titan Digital Media, one of the OG YouTubers and all that, right? Yeah, so I saw him in the video, but I was looking up for other faces, a lot of rumored faces like Joseph Schooling and all that, but I didn't see that in the video.
Didn't see it.
Yeah.
I mean, these videos were just the videos by the news outlets that were kind of like covering it.
Yeah.
I see. I mean, whenever I look at, the pictures of everyone in attendance, it just makes me very uneasy because I generally don't wear white because I'm too worried about spilling shit or like sitting on something like that. But here, everybody's wearing white, top to bottom. And I just wonder, like, after these sort of events, how many of them actually walk away with stains? Yeah. Are you a fan of wearing white?
Depends. Last time there was the wear white party, right? Or the dinner.
Yeah, the dinner en blanc.
Dinner en blanc, yeah.
Dinner en blanc.
So that one...
Wear white is a different thing, dude.
Oh yeah, there have been several instances of wearing white in Singapore. There was for those who don't know, there was the dinner en blanc, which was like basically for...
Nothing political.
It was just for what?
Atas lah.
Yeah, atas young... what's the term? Hipsters, no.
No, like...
Yuppies.
Yuppies.
Because this was from back in the day, so they were called yuppies.
Yeah, and the thing was eat outdoors, wine, cheese.
Picnic, right? Kind of like a picnic that you wear white for, and then after that you drink champagne and all that. Correct. So that was that. I'm wrong. Then there was the Wear White movement, which was a movement in response to Pink Dot, right?
Yeah, correct.
Where I believe they were saying wear white for solidarity against Pink Dot, in some essence, and basically family values and all.
Yeah, correct.
So that was wear white.
Yeah.
Then this is PAP 70,
different
celebration.
PAP 70.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know I've seen you wear white once in a while, but do you feel very conscious that you're going to drop some shit on it?
You're talking about full body white?
No, even a top white. If I'm going for lunch, I will never wear white.
Yeah.
Because it just feels like too much you have to worry about spillage and shit like that.
You already went through that in secondary school, right? You went to Raffles Institution.
Yeah, but
so why suddenly pretending like you've never done it before?
No, because back then, I guess maybe that's the thing. Everyone's wearing white.
Yeah.
Like now, if I were to go for lunch or something and I wear white, and no one else is wearing white, if I spill something, you can clearly see it.
Yeah.
But you can't see it on everyone else.
Correct.
If you're a student, I mean, nobody really cares.
In fact, you should be dirty if you're a
You
student.
should be. In fact, if you come to school with brand new white, you stand out.
Yeah,
you know?
people laugh at you. And all that, right?
Yeah. lah. Whereas this one, like, I mean, the whole event, there's dinner and all. I mean, this is totally besides the points of what was discussed. But I just see the pictures and, oh shit, there's a lot of white.
But that's the statement, right? That's the statement you make about incorruptibility.
Incorruptibility.
As Tan Chuan Jin once said, it's so hard to keep it white. I'm paraphrasing.
He has the iron his shirt, right? Every night, the white shirt.
It's very difficult to keep it white. He like you, he worries about staining his clothes with whatever stuff.
That's why you have to bleach every night. Every night have to bleach.
Yeah, you don't want to stain. I mean, for him, very dangerous. Don't want to stain the white clothes.
Yeah, but too bad.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a show of solidarity and power, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, just the thought of that. You think about it, booking the whole Singapore Expo. Singapore Expo has hosted like, Guns N' Roses in concert, that kind of thing, This is the level at which PAP is at. Like, it's so epic, right?
Yeah. And I mean, there was also a clip, I think before Lawrence Wong appeared on stage, they played the APT, the viral song APT. What do you think of that?
Aperture.
Aperture.
What I think of it, I mean, he himself said that he doesn't know why they played the song. So some intern probably going to get fired or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What context did he say he didn't know why they played the song?
They introduced him, but then he came up and he looked very flabbergasted. When he went on stage and said, I don't know why they played that song.
Yeah.
It was a lighthearted moment.
Yeah, but I just felt it was a bit off.
Why? What's wrong with being trendy and everything? Because if you saw the graphics on screen as well, they were like very hip, kind of like almost Instagrammy kind of graphics on screen.
Yeah, but then I just feel you're just trying to bank on something that went viral abroad and like introduce at a conference like this. I mean, just felt a bit weird.
But you've seen in recent months the Democratic National Convention, Republican National Convention.
Yeah.
They had Hulk Hogan walk out and endorse Trump and all.
But the one, it is them endorsing it. Right, Hulk Hogan's endorsing it. I know some bands, I think Foo Fighters and all, were not happy that Donald Trump used their music, right?
Correct,
So in this case also, to be used as a music introducing someone, just felt like political rallies shouldn't do these kind of things.
But I mean, you think about politics, you look at the Trump dance, right? Him dancing YMCA, that every athletes are copying him, Everyone is doing it, it's going viral.
But again, that's his own dance, right? This one, you have this song that has gone viral around the world and using it to introduce someone at the political rally. I just find it a bit weird.
No, but Trump danced to YMCA, right?
Yeah.
So in some sense, he's associated with that song somehow.
Correct. But are the village people happy about it?
I don't know. But that's the thing. But the Aperture, he wasn't even dancing. It's just like a walk-in song, walk-in music.
No, that's what people are saying. You want to use camp, but change APT to GCB. Meet me at GCB. But yeah, so that set the stage. Clearly, they were trying to keep things, trendy and like what you say, lighthearted.
Yeah.
And then they went into the speeches. Lee Hsien Loong started off by giving like a 16-minute speech, and then Lawrence Wong with like a 30+ minute speech.
Yeah.
So I mean, we can go into what they said, but generally, what do you feel about reading the whole thing or watching those speeches and all that?
I mean, this is it's an important moment, right? Setting of a stage for the PAP team that's going in for the next election.
Yeah.
I think just like the Lawrence Wong himself also said, right? This is his first. He's going to lead the PAP team into the general election.
Yeah.
Right? So it's very clear that this ceremony was important to signify the full changing of the guard. I think previously he took over as Prime Minister, but the PAP SecGen post was still Lee Hsien Loong.
Yeah.
But now he's in charge of the party itself already.
Yeah.
So it's a very clear statement of intent already.
Yeah. And I mean, when I was listening to it, I was just thinking, wow, it's really, can you imagine the pressure that he will be under or he is under as not only PM, as Secretary General. And going into an election where your party has literally won every election in their history. You never want to be the one that, doesn't do as well or something.
Correct.
And plus, the world right now is so tricky. I mean, even his schedule, right? He just came back from Peru and Brazil.
Yeah.
And it's just fucking crazy job, and it just felt like I got secondhand stress from listening to it.
You sympathize with him.
I wouldn't say sympathize.
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, to a certain extent, is it sympathize or empathize? Empathize.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, the job of a PM, not just his job, even for Lee Hsien Loong or any leader of any country, he is damn shag, man.
But isn't it telling that, this is such a big, well-run, PAP 70 event at Singapore Expo, but the choice of his walk-in music, he looked bewildered by it. Isn't it telling how difficult it is to, like what you say, so many expectations on his shoulders, but one small key detail that makes people's eyebrows go up, like he can't control so, right?
Yeah.
And that's the difficulty of the job, and he also talks about it as he didn't even know how hard it would be until he actually took up the role. Right?
Yeah, and he had been in civil service for 15 years and then in politics for like another 15 years or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's more. There are probably more people who know about his walk-in music than the things that he said,
Correct. Yeah. That's the thing, So I mean, do you think he really didn't know what the choice of walk-in music would be? Like it's quite strange to me that something so important about like the emotion of the event and all that would not pass more scrutiny, right?
Yeah. I mean, I can maybe because he's like, I don't care about these bells and whistles. I want to talk about what really matters. But then he should also know that these kind of bells and whistles sometimes can throw people off,
Yeah. So we have a very trendy music for you to walk on to.
Yeah.
You want to listen to it? No need.
I'm writing my speech.
Yeah.
Just play.
It's called APT. Whatever. I'm writing about something about MRT. Don't disturb me. And then end up it's after, right?
Then he's like, I've heard this. This is not what I want to walk out to. But like, what do you think of that music?
I mean, it's super catchy now, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's listening to it. Even kids are listening to it also, right?
Yeah.
So if it helps him be more... I mean, I can understand why his team would think that it would be very trendy and help him look more relatable to young voters.
But, I mean, it's like how whenever we try and use Gen Z slang on Tristan, and then he just rolls his eyes.
That's right.
Yeah, this one almost feels like, are they trying too hard?
But I don't know. I don't know if there's such thing as trying too hard in politics, because you look at the elections that just happened in the US and all that, right?
Yeah.
It feels like you can't go 50-60%.
Yeah,
you want to go all the way. You want to target this group, you got to go all the way and target this group. You want to target a group of people who possibly work in McDonald's. You jolly well go and work in a McDonald's just to show it, right?
Yeah, and it's almost like you need to do these kind of things, be shameless, because 20 years down the road, what will matter is whether you want or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So nobody's going to remember what music you walked out to.
In fact, Lawrence Wong himself said, right, now is the time for, for the government to stop being in the background. Come forward, be vocal about your policies, your opinions, which a bit interesting that he said that. And that's what netizens, and I say netizens in air quotes, are kind of pointing out that, you're always in the background. That's why or some people was online saying that it really feels like you're in my face. So if you want to come and really be in my face, how would that be?
Yeah.
Because he did cover a lot of things. I mean, amongst the things was talking about how tricky the world is now. How that for many years and decades, we were in a US-led world, which was in some ways simpler because there was one major superpower. Whereas now, with Trump coming and, going all America first and almost hinting that, okay, the rest of the world, we're not going to be your policeman anymore. We're not going to, do this out of goodwill. There's a vacuum of power, and that's going to be tricky for a small country like us.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that stood out for me. What stood out for you?
I mean, the language used around that I thought was quite interesting. How, he basically has been saying, he said what most people have realized about Donald Trump is going to be mostly about himself and America, right?
Yeah.
So that's not a great thing for other countries. But you also mentioned how other countries, like I think China, he says, are not ready to, or I'm paraphrasing, but they're not ready or willing to take up that role, right? Of being the world's policeman and all. So that's also interesting for him to say that, right? Because you do feel like China is, if anything, extending its influence around a lot of other parts of the world, right? Maybe not so in your face as the US, right? but it definitely is out there, moving the chess pieces around.
Yeah.
So I can see probably the script writers all really had to couch a lot of these sentiments in gentler words than probably what he would personally think.
Yeah. And I mean, he also talked about how the PAP is the 70th year, right? And they are almost like one year away from being the longest continuous one-party rule in history. Right now, I think the record, which is what he mentioned also, is held by the International Revolutionary Party in Mexico, which governed the country for 71 years from 1929 to 2000. Sorry, so PAP is not 1 year away because they weren't governing when we were not independent. So we are like 6 years away. They are 6 years away from breaking the record, which is quite insane. How long they have been governing the country, and at the start there was only one party, right? So then he also talked about certain things about how like what the opposition has been doing. He mentioned something about how what did he say?
I mean, the big thing for me, he said, no chance of opposition wipeout in the next general election, right?
Correct. And what did he mean by that? That means no opposition being in parliament.
Yeah, there's no chance of where the opposition is completely wiped out in the next general election, right?
Yeah.
And I think he also makes references to that it's, don't take the government's mandate for granted, right? Because several votes, or not several, a few votes one way or the other could drastically alter the makeup of our next parliament, right?
Yeah, correct.
I mean, obviously he's referring to like our GRC system. If they lose one GRC, that's 4 to 5 seats gone at one go, and usually involves at least one minister, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, he is pointing out something that in the last election, remember the last election, that was when the idea of a leader of the opposition came forth, right? Where they realized the opposition needs to have a bit more organization and a representative voice at the table. So the leader opposition role was created, which Pritam Singh is filling now, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's a continuation of a lot of that, what they said from back then.
Yeah.
But some people are saying that this is it's fear-mongering, right? There are people online who are saying that this is fear-mongering because it's kind of like scaring people into thinking that opposition could realistically one day actually form the government. That means in a freak result election, they could form the government. But some people are saying, oh, that's not possible. There's too much. The machinery is too strong for that to actually happen. What do you think of that?
I mean, I think the risk is always there, right? So I wouldn't say it's fear-mongering, because if the risk is there, that means it might happen. And fear-mongering, technically, a lot of the things that politicians say is fear-mongering. If we don't work hard, if we don't, come together as a country, we will not survive. If we don't, upskill ourselves, you won't have jobs. All that is generally fear-mongering. So it feels like all political rallies are a lot of fear-mongering.
To some extent.
Yeah. So in that case, I feel like, no, if the risk is there, it is true. And sometimes they can have a different effect, right? Sometimes you think people are going to be fear-mongered so much they won't vote for opposition, and then you'll get some people who'll be like, you know what, no one's going to be voting for opposition, I will vote for opposition. And then that can turn the tide also.
Yeah.
And I think there have been speculations about the presidential election or the previous elections about how sometimes you think it's going to swing so far one way that people overcompensate. But if a lot of people think that, then it swings the other way.
Yeah.
So, hard to say.
I mean, I did feel it a little bit in the presidential election.
Yeah.
Not say fear-mongering, but there was this, I think, very last-minute rumors that, there's going to be a conservative group that's very hell-bent on, like,
not
voting
having
one certain race. Voting a race into power. And that, I think, that was like a day or two before the election.
I heard that also.
You heard the rumor, right?
Yeah.
And
I saw some WhatsApp chats.
Yeah. And turned out to be completely unfounded, right?
Yeah.
Speculation, right? So, I mean, as much as it's not fear-mongering, but it did make me think like, oh, is there more to this that I'm not seeing, right?
Yeah.
And could could there possibly be a freak result because of some, fringe group of people or whatnot? So, not saying fear-mongering, but maybe like making people second guess their voting strategy or so, right?
Yeah.
So, in some sense, maybe fear-mongering is a bit much, but he is pointing out something that could be an electoral strategy as well, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's why there was a lot of things that is kind of like setting the stage for the elections, which he also didn't shy away from. He said something, and I quote, about the inflation concerns. We feel the pressure in Singapore too. Opposition parties have tried to exploit this issue to turn sentiments against the PAP, even though they themselves do not have good solutions. We hope Singaporeans understand that these are global inflation trends. They impact all countries. Yes, but I can also understand why people see that as like, stop just blaming the global thing, because prices all across the board are going high. And I mean, when he says opposition parties have tried to exploit this issue to turn sentiments against the PAP, even though they themselves do not have good solutions, that's almost like saying you shouldn't talk about an issue if you don't have a solution. So I also felt like, wow, okay, it's coming out with the guns, man.
Yeah.
And I can't claim to have listened to all the previous speeches of incoming PMs or secretary generals. But this one felt like, oh shit, we are entering election year. Next year going to be exciting, man.
And I mean, I think the statistic out there is that all incumbent governments in developed countries have taken big hits, right? This election.
Yeah.
So, Singapore, will it be an exception to the rule?
Yeah.
Where, the idea of global inflation has sort of made everyone look beyond local politics and just really worry about the bottom line of how to make ends meet.
Yeah,
and that influences their voting decisions rather than, the idea of like, we're just trying to like fight global headwinds and we can't do anything about it and all.
I mean, you look at what happened in the US, right? I think there was some analysts saying that, Taylor Swift and Beyonce can come out and support Kamala Harris, but at the end of the day, they are not going to be impacted by the fuel price.
Yeah.
Right. So yes, you can talk about all these bigger things, even climate change, which we all know is important. But if the next 12 months you are worried about your costs, are you going to vote for someone who is talking about this bigger picture that is global, or the other politician who's telling you that I'm going to help you bring down your costs for the next 12 months? So that is something that is I think clearly happened in the US, and in Singapore. That risk is also there.
Yeah. Correct.
So,
The other thing also that I found quite interesting was like he said that he went to Goh Chok Tong and Lee Hsien Loong asking for any advice or tips, right?
For recruiting people, right?
No, just in general, just being Prime Minister. And apparently they said, just do your best. This has always been challenging.
He's probably thinking, what kind of fuck advice is that?
So to preface, I mean, you and I, we spend a lot of time, recording folklories and all that. We have asked people advice also, right? What's your life advice and all that?
Yeah.
I feel like people give a lot of good advice.
Exactly.
They all in general, even if you're like, a job that's not super high paying or that, you generally have some interesting good life advice to give.
Yeah.
Then I read this one, I'm like, what the hell is this advice? Just do your best. This has always been challenging. Everything is one.
Can you imagine if he was like, but anything more specific or not? No, just do your best.
Maybe it's the generational divide, right? Like we always talk about, like it's very hard to solicit advice from like someone from older generation who doesn't like to talk so much about it.
And maybe they don't think about it like for them it's like, you just do lah.
Yeah, why talk about it? All this feelings thing. You're all in snowflake, are you? Maybe. I wonder if that's what Goh Chok Tong said to him.
After Lawrence Wong leave the room, then Goh Chok Tong and Lee Hsien Loong was like, what kind of dumbass question is that?
Of course, just do lah. How do you think we did it?
You think got anyone give us advice, is it?
Lee Kuan Yew, huh?
You think my father got someone to ask advice from?
Yeah,
that's true.
But I would like to hear that they gave more sagely advice, right?
Yeah, or maybe we give them benefit of the doubt. Maybe there was a lot of advice, just not stuff that can be said at the PAP conference, lah. So Lawrence Wong just summed it up, Yeah, but maybe there was really a lot of advice,
maybe.
Then he also talks about like hiring people, lah, because he said a lot of his peers or like colleagues, lah, or his comrades, right?
Yeah,
all them old.
Yeah, that's true. They're facing the same problems as our hawkers.
Yeah, like you literally said, right? Like, out of how many ministers? Like a majority of them are like above 60 or something like that.
yeah.
So I have to start now.
Yeah, yeah. And he's one of the youngest, right?
He's one of the youngest. So then there was also, I don't know when it happened in sequence, but there was that Yam singing to Lee Hsien Loong, as a thank you thing.
Yeah.
And I think everyone in Singapore, if you've been living for a while, you've been to a Chinese wedding, you see that moment where people are on stage and Yam singing, and it's very joyous,
Yeah.
right? But this one, the Yam sing, it just felt like they were just, and like with them on stage and all. Though I did like the fact that they had these cups with the all 4 ex-PMs on it, which I thought, all 4 PMs, which I thought was like our Mount Rushmore like that.
Mount Rushmore, wow. That's a high praise, right?
I mean, that's the
only PMs we've had, right?
Yeah, that's right. And until the Founders Memorial comes up, that's our Mount Rushmore.
That's correct. The cups are the cups.
The cups.
Little cups.
The cups.
Yeah.
But interesting. Interesting. I just wonder, they were there for 2 days, right, at Expo?
I believe, my understanding is that it was a dinner and then it was an event the next morning. Yeah. So the next morning, the event next morning was when they officially did the handover and everything. The dinner the night before was more to appreciate the long service award, like D&D kind of thing.
I see.
So I think, if I'm not wrong, I think the video that I saw Tian Hao at was at the dinner thing. Yeah, the D&D.
But normally this kind of 2-day conferences, after the first dinner, a lot of people will go out, get hammered, then the next day they come all hungover.
Yeah.
Here I think different. Different.
But because it depends on what's your role the next day, right?
Yeah,
if you have to give speech, something, can you imagine?
Maybe the intern who had to select music, he's like, oh shit, I lost the track. Oh damn it, which is the most popular song now? APT. Okay, just play that.
But if you were that intern, if not APT, Arpiter, then what would you play to represent the virility of our new leader, Lawrence Wong?
I would play a song composed by someone who took a Skills Future course on composing music.
Okay.
Yeah, and be like, see? Someone who had no music experience went for the Skills Future, right? Not Skillshare, Skills Future.
Skills Future, yeah.
Skills Future course, and look at the shitty piece of music they made. I'm walking out to it because I believe that much in the upskilling of our citizens. Yeah, you?
Probably a generative AI song, right? Made of all the voices of all the, the National Day songs before, something like that.
Yeah.
Show the future.
The future. Yeah.
From all the voices before.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Something more like, you want to talk about doing things different and all that.
Yeah.
Then you just play APT. Lazy, But yeah, man, next year is going to be interesting, man. Because the elections have to happen by end of next year.
Yeah, that's right. Correct.
Oh. And then the other big thing was that the Central Executive Committee was also nominated.
Correct.
And you get the usual stalwarts, the heavy hitters, but you also get some people who might make the cut, including like Chee Hong Tat. So this Central Executive Committee, from what I understand, they are they are the leaders within the party that will be leading the way into elections and basically like the brain trust. Right. So every 2 years, I think, is renewed. PM Lee was the Secretary General for 10 CECs.
Yeah.
And then now he's nominating Lawrence Wong to take over. Because I think it's not confirmed yet.
Yeah.
But more or less confirmed.
Yeah, because there's, I think, 12 members who are elected. Then I think the 13th and 14th highest number of votes are then also co-opted into the CEC. And that was Cheong Tat and Tan Si Ling.
The rest of them, and in no particular order, Shanmugam, Masagos, Chan Chun Sing, Desmond Lee, Ong Yi Kang, Grace Fu, Edwin Tong, Indrani, Vivian B. And then there was, PM Wong, SM Lee, Heng Swee Kiat, Chan Chun Sing. So the heavy hitters,
Heavy hitters. That's right.
Heavy hitters. Right. Yeah. Then Tarman is like, hey guys, the CC how? Hey, who's in guys? Let me know.
Yeah.
Hey, how bro?
He's waiting for updates. He's refreshing. The
no, they have to kick him out of the CC chat lah.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Tarman, sorry man. Yeah. we need to. Or they just start a new chat,
Without Tarman.
21st CEC. Yeah.
Correct.
But yeah, man.
Well, interesting weekend
times.
for everyone.
Yeah, interesting weekend.
But yeah, we talk about trends and AI coming into being one of the big trends for the future as well, right?
Mm.
Unexpectedly, this is quite something relatively new. The idea of robotics and technology infiltrating this area is quite a surprise, right?
Mm.
And what is this area we're talking about?
It is the news of a former engineer who opens up a Hokkien Mee stall with food cooked by a robot.
Mm.
So I mean, he's basically what you would call a serial inventor, lah.
Yeah.
His name is Ang Chip Hong.
Mm.
Interesting that part of his name is a electrical component. So he worked at A-Star for over 20 years.
Mm.
He was the lead inventor in the teams that created 4 patented products: the world's first Wi-Fi detector in the early 2000s, the world's first microwave leakage detector, a smart toy that could teach kids to recognize objects, and a smart card for inventory management.
Mm.
And he's actually earned a decent amount from those patents, lah.
Yeah.
Currently, he is overseeing the research and development of IoT devices, the Internet of Things, at SMU. So last year, I think, or earlier this year, he opened up a stall at Margaret Drive that uses a robot to make Hokkien Mee, and apparently it's the first AI powered hawker stall, which he claims is better than most average Hokkien Mee stalls.
Yeah.
So I know we've spoken about hawkers and the dying trade of hawkers for quite at length, but what made you want to talk about this?
Because incidentally, over the weekend, I was nearby Margaret Road, Margaret Drive Hawker Center, and I actually tap out this home to eat from Wok AI itself, and so I tried it for myself. So I mean, but I actually, even before that, I had read the article, and I was actually interested to go and try it out, because I felt like, this could be a solution to all the problems that we've discussed about hawker heritage being lost because our hawkers are getting older and leaving the trade, right?
Yeah.
So I actually bugged my wife to go and get this for me so I could try it out. And I tap out it and tried it at home.
And what is your... So to clarify, even though they say is the first AI powered hawker stall, right? Yeah. Essentially, from what I understand, there is a cooking robot which was developed in Wuhan by one of this guy's friends. Yeah. That can apparently cook like thousands of dishes. So he used that, he calibrated it to help him make the Hokkien Mee. And then I was wondering, well, where's the AI part of it? So what he's saying is that it helps to maintain the quality of the noodles over the course of a day. I don't know how AI helps that. Is it optimizing the ingredients and whatnot? But then he puts all the ingredients, or one of his workers puts all the ingredients, and it churns out the Hokkien Mee. Yeah. So it's not, say, like one of those Tesla robots, like a humanoid robot or anything. It's a lot less sexy of a robot, but it makes a Hokkien Mee. Yeah. So with that context, what was the verdict, Terence?
So when I started tasting it, you open the box and you look at it, and it smells, and it is Hokkien Mee. All the ingredients are there.
And you're a fan of Hokkien Mee in general.
I like Hokkien Mee, yeah. All the separate condiments, the lime juice and the
chili,
pork lard and the chili, all come in separate packages, right? You add it in yourself. So everything is there, and your brain is primed to taste Hokkien Mee. So when you actually take your first bite and all that texture, everything, it's there. It's correct. The taste also, it's all there. It's correct. But they really, at the end after like a couple more bites, then you realize it doesn't have the soul of the Hokkien Mee.
What is this soul?
The soul. I try to
coming from
it.
You.
Yeah, there's a certain wok hei that comes with Hokkien Mee, Yeah. And because I enjoyed the first couple of bites, after a while I was like, something about this just doesn't give me the shookness of eating Hokkien Mee, And I realized it really is that taste of the wok hei, right? Which is the charred feel of the noodles being cooked in a wok, right? And all the ingredients it shows in all the ingredients that use that. The pork lard, the slices of pork inside there, the prawns, and even just the vegetables, the tauge and all that's put inside. There isn't this charred feel about it. And so that's where, to me, it falls a bit flat, because as I take more bites, it feels starts to feel like a chore trying to finish it already.
Mm.
And I realized, like, I was just discussing with my wife that maybe it's at the end of the day, the human, because these robots are cooking each plate individually also, you see. But as a human also would, right, when he's frying char kway teow, the human is actually able to look at the noodles more clearly and see, like, is it, cooking properly? Is the pork lard getting charred or what? And, is the fire too big, or is stuff too hot, and move the wok accordingly. And it's just that little bit of human intuition that makes the like a 70% or at least 50% difference in the taste. And so that's where I felt like was really, really lacking in this one. That I felt like,
did your wife
it's not
concur?
close enough. Yeah, she concurred. Yeah.
But do you think it's psychological or not? Like, let's say if I bought this Hokkien Mee, and I say, okay, Terence, this Hokkien Mee I bought from this uncle near my house.
Yeah.
You ate it. You think it'd be different or not?
So that's where I think that, perception definitely plays a role. But I think the general standard of this Hokkien Mee is like good enough to pass off as Hokkien.
But it's not like, wow.
It's not something that's going to replace like your favorite Hokkien Mee store, in some obscure part of Singapore and all that. But I can see that this could also be the future of our hawker centers, where, there's going to be robots or, at least machines preparing a lot of this kind of very labor-intensive foods. And you'll just get used to a general minimum standard of everything. That is okay. It looks and tastes like your favorite dish. But, collectively, we will lose all those really, really, really good hawkers. Those outliers.
But don't you think that's already happening?
With like franchising
centralized
and
kitchens and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, a bit. But that's where, like, when the human does it, right? Like, even if you hire someone to do it, over time, they also, improve and get better at it. Whereas I'm not sure for this one how much AI would really help the machine understand what tastes better.
I mean, one iteration he did already is that now he pre-fries the noodles to infuse some smoky flavor before putting them into the machine. So, I mean, like, I am very happy to hear you say that it was missing the soul, because I think it, plays into a bit of what I was talking about a few episodes ago about the canteen, the school canteen. How you lose a bit of soul, okay?
It's still cooked by humans.
But this is just like a lot further down the line. But it's the same line, Terence. It's just I'm further down the line, you are at the starting point. But it's the same line. So, but then what scares me is that, okay, let's say you want even something that is, I would imagine something cooked by a human, maybe there's less homogeneity, Some bites, there's maybe a concentration, and that's what makes it nice. But even that can be programmed, right?
Yeah.
And now he's doing the pre-fried noodles. Maybe it's like, if we want the wok hei, we have to char it a bit more. Simple solution.
Maybe.
Yeah. But then it feels like, wow. Then I still feel it loses the soul. It has all the ingredients, everything is there, but there's something lacking. Maybe it's the human sweat. I don't know. Maybe there's something about, like what you say, the human intuition. If it's a hot day, if it's a bit more muggy, maybe inbuilt as a human, you mix it up a bit, but this machine is only based on the ingredients you give it. It doesn't take into account anything else.
Correct. And I was asking my wife, like, visually, what did the experience look or feel like? And then she described to me, it's really just like a machine like almost like an oven, and then there's a human who's like physically putting in ingredients. Then I realized, actually, it's not that different from a Thermomix.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I have a Thermomix at home, right? And for those who don't know, Thermomix is like this, I think, German cooking machine that allegedly can cook like everything you want. It can bake, it can make drinks, it can cook really exquisite stuff. I've cooked like mee siam, for example, in like one pot, right, on the Thermomix before. So it's very useful. And I realized, actually, this is like that. It just really requires human inputs on ingredients and certain things like that. And then after that, it will cough out, quality, like 70% of the way there. The quality is about 70% of the way. But if you really want to get that, that 20-30% that makes it like fantastic, you kind of still need that human touch. That person tasting it and saying, this one needs a bit more of this one needs a bit more of that. And I think that's what is lacking right now for this thing. But I'm not against it. I'm just saying that I feel like there could be a lot more room for improvement. But potentially this could help to alleviate the problem that we have of hawkers disappearing.
Yeah. Because then instead of having to hire someone, you just have this.
Yeah.
So it's a nice mix of human and tech. Because as much as I feel like, hey, why do we have to go down this path? If you look at our own kitchens, I would imagine someone who, grew up at a time where there was no such thing as an oven.
Yeah.
Or piped gas. You have to chop the wood. You have to dry it. You have to start a fire and cook above that. If they look at an oven, they're like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
The heat from a fire compared to a heat from a heater is two very different things. How can you do it? You're losing your soul.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine not using an oven. So maybe this is just the next iteration of that.
Yeah. And that's a good point that's a good time to also plug that show, Culinary Class Wars on Netflix, where because you're watching these chefs cook very, very different kind of dishes from what they usually cook, or in very, very different settings from what they're used to. So, for example, there was a challenge. I mean, there's a spoiler, but it doesn't matter because the show's been out a long time.
Is that how it works, Terence?
Yeah, it's been out long enough already. There's no such thing as spoiler when it's out for so long. There's basically an Italian pasta chef who was cooking a risotto, but for like 100 people, right? And risotto is usually a dish that you cook one by one, right? So you see his technique in how he was like trying to heat a whole giant pan of risotto carefully. He was like really like flinging the risotto in the air, but catching it like almost very instantaneously. So it was that technique that made the risotto still possible to be cooked in such large quantities and still be flavorful, you see?
Yeah.
And then he said after that his arms were like killing him. It was damn painful and all that. But it was also, he managed to cook a very consistent risotto for 100 people, right? And that's the kind of human ingenuity that goes into cooking that I think a robot wouldn't be able to reproduce as easily. Understanding like, okay, this is the kind of people that I need to cook for, and this is the quality that I need, and this is how much like, finagling I need to do with the ingredients to make them work for this kind of audience. I think it'll still be a while before we
still a while, but you can see it happening, right?
I can see, if you put in enough inputs and all that.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the inputs, that's why I think it still needs like someone, human oversight in some ways. So in some ways, this, like what you said, there are pros and cons. You look at it, you're like, oh shit. But at the same time, it's like, okay, at least maybe there still needs to have some human input.
But then next time in future, you imagine you go to Maxwell Food Center and every shop has the same machine.
Yeah.
But they're all just making different things. Then the prata machine breaks down. Then the guy's like, hey brother, can lend me a Hokkien Mee machine for her? Then come change settings. Then he's making prata. How will you feel, as you bring your young child to the hawker center for the first time to buy his own meal? Would you feel a bit like, fuck man, this sucks?
But then maybe the machines become interchangeable, yes. But like how a pizza oven, like the pizza takes the
personality,
the smell, the charred flavor from every different oven it goes to.
Yeah.
And then they say like the new oven doesn't taste the same as the old oven.
Even if you use a cast iron skillet, like after a while, every skillet almost has a different taste to it. Yeah.
So that's like almost like physics and chemistry already.
Yeah.
That you can't just like, replace as as like a part in a machine that easily, right?
Yeah, but then are we being a thorn in the side of efficiency?
You mean
like let's say if it's completely interchangeable, like you go to the doctor, you use the same thermometer, but you have this plastic thing that you stick in your ear, then you just empty it up, but it's the same thermometer. Next time the prata person needs the Hokkien Mee machine, you're like, hey, let me. Then there's a prata fixture, Then you just make your prata, come back, then you're done, then you send it back to the Hokkien Mee uncle.
Correct.
But maybe that's the future,
I can see this as like part of a whole, like there's a whole food court that's just dedicated to robots creating all the hawker food. It'll be like
it's all robots lah.
Like, do you remember the movie Demolition Man from back in the day?
Wesley Snipes, right?
Yeah, Wesley Snipes, Sylvester Stallone. There's this like they had this is what the world used to look like in the museum exhibit, right? And it was damn funny because it's like the show was from the future, like the show is set in the future. So it featured a lot of stuff from the 90s as like, in the museum.
Relics.
So that's why I think one day we will, maybe my kids, grandkids or something, they'll be, hey, let's go to the Founders Memorial and eat a plate of char kway teow.
Yeah, but
Then you
it's
go
just-
there, then they'll be like wax figures, like robots, like pretending to cook.
but it's
And
just
then
a machine.
Yeah, it just comes out from a square box, right? And then it's like 70% kind of char
And I'd
kway
be like,
teow.
Dad, you mean when you were growing up, people actually cooked food?
Yeah.
Wow, what was that
For
like?
8 hours a day, they did that. Yeah.
The auntie at your school canteen served you the food?
Yeah, correct.
Wow.
Mm.
But yeah, lah.
Dystopian future, but at the
Dystopian.
same time, I mean, if you need to do that to preserve the heritage, a UNESCO World Heritage,
yeah,
that's what you have to do.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think, yeah, it's also, we cannot just hold on to the past, lah, If things need to change, as long as the culture is preserved in some way, I don't think it'll be preserved just the way it is.
Yeah.
So you have to give and take a bit, lah.
Correct. Maybe one day we'll sign something with Tesla, lah. Like, those robots, they'll like imbue them with the minds of the memories of our hawkers.
Yeah.
As almost like creating digital clones of our hawkers, lah.
Yeah.
And then all the techniques and all that, the robots learn how they move.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
hawkers, all.
Exactly. Like
That'll be
even
freaky,
the
yeah.
napkin patting the head, the good morning towel
Yeah.
patting the head and all.
Imagine Tesla robots replacing every hawker.
Yeah.
Or hawker uncle and auntie.
Wearing singlet and all.
Yeah.
All allowed.
Wow.
But
That'd be
yeah,
scary.
it'd be scary, lah. It'd be scary.
But yes.
Yes, man.
Speaking of scary,
Yes.
what is your one Shiok comment from this week?
One Shiok comment, let's see. So I mean, I think the last podcast, was it the last podcast? 2 podcasts ago, about the student activist.
Last podcast.
Podcast.
Yeah.
Who was deflating tires.
Yeah.
I mean, quite a few comments were kind of like, I mean, let's say there's one comment on Reddit by Nightcat, long-time Redditor.
Yep.
They said they don't agree with the students' actions. They also didn't agree with, Terrence calling out the website as narcissistic and all.
Yeah.
But I think the broader thing, I was quite, because I think maybe you were more extreme than me, but I generally agree with the fact that I don't think it's a good movement, lah. And I think it's more destructive than constructive. But quite a few people on Reddit and YouTube were actually saying that they kind of like think, while it's not a perfect movement, there is some merit to it, lah. So like Nightcat said, any NGO worth their salt knows it's important to show impact and tell the supporters what to do, providing templates and make it easier to support people who want to take action but may be at a loss. I don't agree with the actions of this group, but their site seems well designed and makes it easy for people to take action. I think it's just easy to just say things are woke and disagree and say it's cancel culture, but change can only happen if a group of people take action. Again, I don't agree with the actions of this group, and there are definitely better ways to create awareness of climate change, but they did say that there are certain things that are good about this group, lah. And sometimes people need to take action regardless of whatever is in their way, lah. So I was like, actually, okay. Interesting discussions.
Yeah, actually, that's my one Shiok comment also, lah.
Nightcat.
No, not that one specifically, but there was a lot of people who came forward to disagree with my views. I still disagree with them, but I think because since they put it out there, I think it's also worth talking about. Like the one on YouTube is like, big fan, but I really dislike Terrence's lack of empathy towards the eco-activists. He sounds like a cynical, out-of-touch uncle. On the other hand, kudos to Harish for speaking out on the frustration and helplessness some of the youths are facing. The world needs more empathy.
Well,
I don't even remember that as your stand, you empathizing necessarily.
I think I was trying to see it from the other perspective, lah, which I still disagree with.
Yeah.
But I think it is also something that I can imagine people feeling like helpless and like, I think because I said back then when maybe I was a bit more like naive, I was like, oh no, something must do. So, but as you get older, you realize, okay, is that the best way or not?
Yeah. I mean, I disagree also with the comments sometimes, because I think a lot of people are talking about empathy, but who has empathy for the victims of this thing, There's another comment saying, I was quoting from a BBC article about the people affected by it, and it'd be so lucky if people actually using SUVs to transport like old people around. But there are really cases like this, I think you would know, I would know personally people who need to be transported for whatever reasons, right? Medical reasons and all.
Yeah.
So that tone of like, oh wow, like so lucky to be transformed SUV. That's the part that I feel like, it's
That was on YouTube, is it?
on Reddit lah, right? And that's where I feel like, okay, then now we're starting to like, oh, you rich, I poor, I laugh at you because of that kind of thing, like, And it's that's the kind of discussions I don't really enjoy getting very much into lah.
I see.
But that's why I point out, like, I think if you want to empathize with people, empathize with the people most directly affected by this boy's actions, right? The people who had their tires deflated and everything.
So you show empathy across the board, lah.
Correct.
Yeah. But I mean, interesting comments, and I appreciate people who are willing to type it out articulately and eloquently, lah.
Yeah.
So kudos to them.
Correct. Yeah.
Cool. And what about your one Shiok thing, man?
My one Shiok thing is a video from one of the channels that I follow quite more, not say religiously lah, but I think it's interesting. I check in once in a while because they take a very philosophical approach to pop culture. So this is the channel Wisecrack, which is a bunch of like philosophy aficionados and all who create content about pop culture and stuff. So this video is titled "The Problem with Jubilee." So they actually break down, because I think Jubilee has been in the news a lot recently because of some a viral series that they created called Surrounded, where they took people like Charlie Kirk, right, and Ben Shapiro, and surrounded them with like 25 Kamala voters, for example, and then they it's almost like round robin. He those people in question debate with each of these 25 voters lah.
Yeah.
And then also Jubilee has also been famous for other kinds of videos where they present so-called debates between two very extreme groups lah, right? A whole series of them. And I think this Wisecrack thing is just doesn't dispute the fact that these videos are very popular, but sort of talks about what could be a problem when you try to pit two opposing views towards each other in what appears to be we're just being open-minded about debate, like, and they kind of tell you why sometimes you walk away from those feeling and something off about it, something doesn't feel right about it, right? So this one they do a little bit of a breakdown of that, and I enjoyed watching it because it helped me capture some of what I was feeling as well.
Shit, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Wisecrack, they've been around for quite a while, right?
Yeah, a while already, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, but Jubilee has blown up. And I mean, it was started by someone who went to school with us.
That's right.
Yeah. But yeah, cool. My one Shiok thing is something that crosses the line between no, I wouldn't say crosses the line. It's just the news that there was this recent AIB Awards in London, which is the Association for International Broadcasting.
Oh, and not AI related lah.
No. This is old school broadcasting. And there was it basically brings together journalists from around the world. So you get all your Bloomberg, CNNs, Al Jazeera's there. And there was a news explainer category award. And you know who won it? It was CNN,
Yeah.
For their Israel-Hamas war, the occupation of West Bank. I didn't even know that series was out.
Yeah.
Because compared to some other CNA videos, the total view count for these 8 videos, each of which are like between 18 to 30 minutes in length, is not as high. But
what? How many views does it have?
I mean, like looking at it, like the first episode has 52K views, then 38K, then 173K, 332K, 134K, 11K, 40K.
Yeah.
I mean, still decent views, but some of their videos have like millions of views, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, oh shit, they it won like an award at seems like a pretty legit award ceremony. And I think we've also given a lot of shout outs to CNA for good documentaries. I think quite often they've been our one Shiok thing of the past few days.
Yeah.
So to win, I was like, oh shit, kudos to them, man.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I didn't even know this.
Yeah, I also didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 8 episodes, man.
Yeah.
And I think it goes to pretty good detail. So congrats to the team, man.
Nice.
Yeah, cool. Awesome.
Cool.
So yeah, that's a first episode of the week.
Yeah.
Still gonna keep cranking them out. Our 600th episode coming up soon.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, so if you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with at least one other person who may not have heard of us. Follow us on social media, which means YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, Reddit, and Instagram. And
to work with us, check out ministryoffunny.com or email us at contact@ministryoffunny.com.
all right, thanks everyone. Talk to
Alright.
y'all soon.
Bye.